So if you're anything like me, you're constantly thinking about your career, your life, your health, spending more time with your family. I know I'm not alone in doing that. So at times like this, at Christmas and heading into a new year, it's the ideal time to really consider the direction that your life is going in, that your career is going in, the choices that you make, and I don't blame you for that. I mean, at the end of 2007, I really started to do that again seriously, and all the way through 2008 I was creating a plan that would enable me to leave my day job, my 9 to 5, and enable me to do something you know, that meant something to me. I created Fidgetstick, and since then a whole new world has kind of opened up in front of me. It's opened all sorts of doors, and I've met all sorts of fantastic people, and I haven't looked back. And admittedly, since actually taking that step and leaving my job, it's only been like literally a week since I left my gardening leave, and already, you know, I've hit the ground running, and it's been fantastic. So you know, perhaps my experiences, and this is how I feel, perhaps my experiences and that the community that kind of I'm forming around me in terms of Fidgetstick can help you as an individual to kind of regain control of your life, and as we head into 2010, enable you to sort of take your life in a direction that enables you to feel challenged and inspired, maybe a little bit scared, but motivated and hungry to do something. You know, I'm really convinced you that opportunities are out there. They're there for the taking. They're there for you to create those opportunities. No one's going to hand them to you, but they are there. And actually, what you'll realise is that when you're doing something you love, it's amazing how supportive people are. You might not think that if you're, you know, stuck in the office and with your boss or people you work around, and everyone's very negative. Well, I can assure you that you start doing something that you're passionate about, and talking about something that other people are passionate about, then you're going to get a whole different response, and certainly that's what I've experienced so far. So who am I? As I said, up until just over a week ago, I was working an incredibly intensive job as an international sales consultant for a retail design agency, actually. It meant that I was responsible for millions of pounds worth of turnover for the business that I worked for, and I made sure that some of the biggest brands in the world got to open their stores around the world, because the furniture that my company was creating, manufacturing, was at the best price and the best quality, and really enabled the brands to engage with consumers better in the store environment. And that was my life for 3 years, and then 3 years before that in a different job doing sort of similar commercially orientated things as opposed to sales, specifically that I was doing in my last job. And you know, it was great. I got to meet some fantastic people. I got to travel the world. I've been to China and all around Europe, and you know, met all sorts of different people, from factory workers in the crappy areas of China to spending time in the big plush offices of major corporations around the world. And you know, it's been a fantastic experience for me working with that sort of breadth of personality, but fundamentally it was always just a stepping stone for me. I made a decision early on that I wanted to run my own business. That was what was driving me, and I made a conscious decision in each of my jobs that I was covering a skill set that I felt I needed in order to be a well-rounded individual, and that's what I did. So I went production and commercial into sales and new business development, and you know, and that's been fantastic. So after my father died in August 2007, it was one of those critical points in your life where you really sort of step back and reassess the direction life's going in. That's what I did, and it really gave me a hunger and a passion that had been buried deep down inside. It was there, but it had been buried, had been sort of squashed for some time, and I used that as a motivation to kind of build a roadmap out of my day job and my normal life, and into something that I really wanted to do and had wanted to do for a long time, and to be able to put myself in a position where I could work with people who were equally passionate about things as I am, and that I actually feed off and get inspiration from on a daily basis. And a lot of that came. I learned a lot from my father, actually. He was a printer, and obviously printing has been a dog of an industry for quite a few years now, and companies have been going bust and really struggling, and unfortunately he was caught up in that, and I really learned what can happen really when you don't make the right decisions in your own personal life, and how that impacts on a business, especially when times are tough, and things are starting to go wrong. And his business failed for many reasons, and I really regret not being either, I was going to say old enough, but I don't think that's correct, because I don't think age comes into it, but whether it's experienced enough or actually just hungry enough or knowledgeable enough to be able to save it, or at least make a difference, enough of a difference to sustain it through those times. And I was only 20 at the time. I was at university, so I was doing my studies, and I did my best. I got involved, I got stuck in, and it was pretty hideous. I was working with insolvency practitioners, getting a CVA arranged so we could take care of our debts, and at the same time still maintain a business, working with factoring houses to try and manage the bad debt that we had from our customer base, from kind of old school business practices, and I managed to do all that, but it wasn't enough, and it and it failed. And the hardest thing was trying to be a manager of staff. It's someone quite young coming in and sort of trying to help out. It was such a difficult thing, and especially as I didn't realise at the time, it was very difficult for them. These guys were going to lose their jobs, and it didn't help that actually throughout that whole time I was just covering for my father, who was kind of spiralling out of control with alcoholism, and he was an alcoholic,